Hello and welcome to this, the Crypto Club and Digital Assets Weekly Catch-up on Zoom. It is the 14th of July 2024, and as is always the case, we never know quite what we're going to be talking about. We hold these sessions every Sunday evening, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, and they're open to everybody, novices and experts alike. So if you're just beginning your journey into the crypto sphere, do come along and join us and ask questions. If you're someone who's more experienced, then come along and tell us about projects that you're working in or the experiences that you have. If you'd like to come along to a future session, there's a link with details below. And also, while you're there, don't forget to click on the like, the subscribe, make comments. As I say, even better, come along to a future session. Anyway, with that, let's see who's going to come and join us today. Hey, Linda. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Have you been on one of these sessions before?
I have not. Jeremy just recently invited me to the group chat.
Excellent. In that case, a special welcome to you then, Linda.
Thank you.
What brings you along then? What's your area of interest?
Well, actually, I've started to look into elephant money futures, and I mentioned it to Jeremy, and he said, "Well, you should ask the group in the group chat because there's a lot of smart people on there that know about DeFi and crypto, and I haven't asked yet."
Okay. There's so much going on. So in fairness, you find that sometimes there are initiatives going on that people haven't heard of. I get that all the time. Equally, you find quite a few of the initiatives are just rehashes of previous things. So what's this one you're talking about? Elephants, something, did you say?
Yeah, it's elephant.money, and it's the futures. They have their own treasury, and their futures are making 0.5% interest per day. Um, and it's pretty complex. It's like they will Bertha, the treasury, will always hold like 50% of the tokens, so you can buy the tokens as well.
Okay.
And so they're they've built the contract so that like no one can ever dump, like whales can't ever dump enough to devalue the stock,
Okay.
any significant amount. Um, yeah, and there's the futures are kind of like the long-term play, kind of like how savings accounts used to be many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just kind of like, and I saw that there was a link to your live, and I'm like, well,
Hey,
maybe I'll just click on the link and see what's going on.
well, that's great. That's the whole idea of this kind of thing, definitely. Hey, we've just been joined by Elena. Elena's one of our regulars who, if you want to know anything about the metaverse, she's the up and coming superstar in that space.
Thank you. Hello.
Lovely.
Thank you.
And she looks like she's getting ready for a football match.
I'm just back home from the gym, and that's the reason I'm usually late for these meetings.
Okay, understand. Sorry, Linda, whereabouts are you based then?
I'm in El Paso, California. It's basically the Central Coast. Yeah,
Where
I'm in the
about?
redwoods, but in the redwoods, but 2 miles from the beach. It's
So that
Santa
kind of
Cruz County,
okay. So I was thinking Santa Clara or somewhere like that, but it
over
sounds
the hill from Santa Clara on the
okay.
coastal. Yeah, a little bit. So west and south.
Okay, yeah, but not a nice part of the world then. Excellent. Okay. The
It's
the, the,
quite
the reason,
lovely.
yeah, the reason I ask is we got people coming on from all around the world. So Elena's still in Ireland, I believe. Is that right,
Yes,
Elena? Yeah, yeah,
still am.
yeah. And we sometimes get people from the East Coast and West Coast joining us, and other weeks we get nobody at all, completely burnt. But the other reason for asking as well is that we usually get a few people from the UK and London joining us. However, there's some football match or something being played in about an hour's time. So I suspect quite a few people will be getting themselves ready for that. So we'll see. But coming back to elephant money, I found it interesting. I was just looking at the sites a moment ago. Um, I always get nervous about these things, particularly when they start talking about treasuries, because that usually means that they hold the funds. So
Hmm.
how does it actually work? Do you have self-custody, or do they look after the tokens for you?
I'm sorry, can you ask I didn't quite get the
Oh,
question.
okay, yeah. So I presume it's a scheme where you buy tokens or contracts or something. Is that right?
Well, you can, but the futures is different. The futures, you basically just deposit money and then it compounds.
Okay.
Yeah, and kind of the longer, like if the interest rate stays at approximately 0.5% per day, provided you make a deposit every 2 weeks. And it goes down a little bit if you make a deposit every month.
Okay.
And the minimum deposit is $200.
Okay. And it's working on the Binance chain, so on BNB.
Yes.
By the look of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I'm always curious with these things. Have you ever had any money back from them?
No, but I mean, I just like started 2 weeks ago, so
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I thought I'd just like dip my toe in the water.
Yeah. It's always interesting because it's very difficult to tell with these things whether they are legitimate or not. And I'm
Hmm.
always nervous about anything where they offer you a high rate of return, but you have to keep investing and investing, and you never actually get to see it coming back.
Hmm.
So I was just curious as to what kind of level you're at in terms of if you have actually had any monies returned or anything. So, um,
Right, not yet. So whatever interest you've made over the course of the period of your duration of deposits, whatever money you've made, you can take out immediately, but it doesn't make sense to take out, $12. So,
I find it interesting because what I've seen with a number of things like this, and this might not be the case for this one, it might be totally legitimate, is that you find that trying to actually take money out and convert it back into fiat, so US dollars or euros, whatever, is where it becomes surprisingly difficult.
mhm.
And so this is where it may actually be worthwhile just trying to take a few dollars out at some point,
Oh, as a
just
trial. Yeah,
just to make sure you can. Um,
right.
because I know a few people have gone in for these things. Um, I'm trying to find the actual company behind this. I don't know. I'm showing the actual terms of service at the moment. Th-
Okay.
This is always a good place to go looking because you can see the company registration details usually.
Uh-huh.
Um, and this is where I was just looking as we were chatting to see if I could find what the actual company is behind Elephant Money. And normally on the
Hmm.
terms of service, it'll give the company name, the registration, if it's regulated in any way. It would normally have things like that. And all I'm finding at the moment is it's saying that it's Wyoming registered, but
Huh.
but I'm not even seeing a company registration or anything. See the way it says governed by the laws in the state of Wyoming down here?
Okay. It's
Uh,
it's small font, but I'll take your word for it.
yeah. uh, um, but what I would generally expect for most companies is for them to at least include the company registration number in some way, which
Mm.
which which these haven't. Uh, I noticed they've not got an office or anything. They've only got a single email address, which again, it might be okay, but
Yeah.
just starts making me a little bit nervous there. So yeah, I don't know. All I'd say
Right.
is be exceedingly careful, and
Okay.
I never offer advice or recommendations or investment advice or anything like that. But I'm always nervous when I go to a company's website and I can't find details out about the company. Um,
Hmm.
so just like I say, it might be legit or it may not. So
Okay.
just be cautious. Tread with care, really. I've seen it with
Okay.
them. I've just seen it so many times now, where somebody will spin up a website, they'll spin up something so it looks like you're earning 1% a day, and you've got a wallet on screen and it shows the numbers going up. And then when you try and withdraw, there's nothing there. So I'll just be very cautious on that. But like I say, I don't know if they are legit, but I'm always nervous of anything where I can't easily find out who the people are behind it and where they're based and that kind of thing. So just something to bear in mind.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And where are you based, Gary?
So I'm based just to the west of London in the UK. So yeah, typically UK based, but I spend my life on Zoom, so it's like being all around the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I'm just been joined by JT as well. You can see another thing has just joined.
Hi, everyone.
JT is probably in the UK at the moment. Hi, JT. Where are you now?
Yeah, lovely summer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's blue skies at the moment in the UK. We're having all summer for this week.
One day, all these months.
Indeed, yeah. So yeah, Linda, if you do have any questions or anything as we go along, just feel free to fire away. Because we find that the thing I love about the crypto community is that everyone's happy to help where they can. And it's still a relatively new market. You know, no one's been in it for more than 20 years. So everyone's a relative newbie, just some are less so than others. So that's really
Well,
cool.
it's incredible how complex the whole thing is. I mean, just like I said, I'm just kind of starting to learn about it, and it's just like layers and layers of stuff.
Yep. The thing I find that this is why I used to go to events myself, and then I started hosting things like this, is I find what tends to happen is that you pick up a little bit each time you listen into something, and it's over time that little bit and little bit and little bit kind of just add up. And then all of a sudden things start clicking and you start understanding a little bit more. And there's lots of jargon, there's all sorts of stuff going on, that kind of thing, which is part of the problem, because some people will exploit the fact that other people don't know what's going on. And this is where it'll be, oh, let us make it easy for you. Just create an account with us here, put in $100 a week, and we'll make 10% interest per month or whatever it is. Now, we'll take the worry away for you. It's like, yeah, there was a guy called Charles Ponzi, I think, who did that originally.
So Ponzi was actually a person, huh?
Yeah. I think it was Charles Ponzi was the original scheme on that. I'm sure JT or Elena might correct me on that, but I think it was actually named after somebody who originally had a scheme where.
His last name is Ponzi. First one, I don't know his name.
I'm pretty sure it was Charles. So I'm going to have to go away and check on that now. So, yeah. So are you new to all this in general then, Linda? Or is it just with Elephant Money it's new?
Yes, no, I'm completely new to blockchains and crypto and DeFi. Like I'm just now learning what those words even are.
Yeah. Well, that's all good, and there is so much to kind of learn on that. Just while we're chatting, by the way, I did check. Yep, Charles Ponzi, an Italian swindler. There we go. And his aliases include Charles Ponzi and Carl and various other things. So yeah, and he had quite an interesting guy. But coming back to your point, you're right. You know, DeFi, NFTs, STOs. There's all these acronyms and everything. There's so much potentially to learn, which is what makes it fascinating as well. So,
yeah, I reached out to support. I think I was using the Jumper Exchange, and I was trying to do a transfer and a swap, and like a bridge and a swap, and the bridge went through, but the swap didn't. And I went into, you have to go into Discord, and you have to be like allowed in to even ask a question. And then the response they gave me was like in a different language. It was English, but I had no idea what they were saying. I'm like, this is not helpful.
See,
So I had to like break it down word by word.
This is where I think it's sometimes better for people who are taking an interest in this kind of stuff to maybe get into cryptocurrency to begin with. So none of the the stuff you're doing straight away is actually quite advanced. And sometimes for people, it's easy to say, like, just get into a cryptocurrency, register with a well-known and reputable exchange or a broker, or usually an exchange, and just have a go of the experience of creating a wallet and then just buying a small amount of crypto, and that's it. Nothing more. Because that's tough enough in its own right, but it allows you to learn the concepts of like what a digital wallet is, what the private keys are that relate to the wallet, that kind of thing. and you could stop at that point. That's as complex as it needs to be, you know.
Okay.
And when I first started off, that was as much as I knew, but that then allowed me to buy and sell things with Bitcoin, for example. So I could meet up with somebody, or I could go somewhere. We could scan our mobile phones, we could exchange, and it worked. It's when you start introducing other things like, oh, you have to go via Pancake Swap, and you have to create a contract, and no, you don't. No. That's just making it all far too complicated. So it sounds like you've gone straight in at the deep end. So
I think I did, yeah. Learning a lot along the way.
May I add
Learning
my
how to swim.
questions?
go for it, Lena.
Linda, if it's all new for you, maybe you might consider doing a course. I just
Yes.
have to say it, the introduction to digital currencies at the University of Nicosia. And I
That
believe
sounds like
it starts in September, and it covers everything. And people who do it, they don't they understand every word. It won't be like someone is speaking to you in English about cryptocurrency and you don't understand a word. So
it is really good. Elena's absolutely right. So the University of Nicosia, they do what's called a MOOC, which is a massive online course, which is free. It's free. It's really good. It is at a very detailed level, but if you really want to learn about digital currencies, wallets, this kind of stuff, it is excellent. And as Elena says, the next course is starting in September.
Okay.
And it's worth just go onto a search engine and do University of Nicosia Introduction to Digital Currencies.
Is that NICASIA?
No, NICOSIA. So Nicosia is a place in Cyprus.
Okay.
So in the Mediterranean in Europe, and it's got an excellent university with some very knowledgeable people who know about crypto and that kind of thing. And that they do a range of courses. They do digital currencies, they do the metaverse, they do various other things. But this intro course, which is over, I think it's about 10 or 12 weeks or something, and you log in each week, you listen to a lecture for an hour or something, and there's course material. It is quite intense, but if you want to accelerate your learning, I can recommend it, definitely. And, and as I say, and it's free. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah.
Definitely. And it's one of those things as well that I find people who are new to this space, they sometimes say, well, how can I learn about crypto? It's like, well, there's lots of stuff on YouTube, but you never quite know the qualifications of the people who are doing the teaching on YouTube. So some of them, my theory is the louder they shout, the less they understand. And so you do get some crypto evangelists who you listen to them. There's a guy who does actually know a lot of stuff. There's a guy called Ivan on Tech, and I think he's Swedish, but he's shouting, and it's like he's just trying to promote his courses and that kind of thing, I think. But there is a lot of YouTube stuff. I mean, on my channel, I've got some intro training around what Bitcoin is, what an NFT is, how a wallet works, that kind of thing. But the University of Nicosia, if you want to get into it properly, definitely recommend. It's worth checking out.
I will. Thank you for that.
Hey, no problem. Although Jeremy won't be happy because it's not in Cambridge, and Jeremy likes everything to do with Cambridge.
I've never actually met Jeremy in person, but just he's part of a fellowship group I'm a mentor for that has a focus on AI and tech. And I just enjoy just put the camera on him and let him talk, and I'm entertained.
Yep, it's good fun. And it's the whole thing about the whole crypto community. It's still relatively small. So I discovered Jeremy, or I think he reached out to me or something. And it turns out we've got multiple connections already. So a lot of his connections is to do with Cambridge University, and a lot of his stuff around AI analytics, around price predictions and that kind of thing, I think is from his work in Cambridge and that. And I used to work in Cambridge, so I know some of the people that he knows and all this kind of thing. So yeah, it is a
That's
small
great.
world. So,
Yes.
it's a bit like we've got JT on the call. So JT and I, we've known each other online for a while, and then we actually met up at, I think it was a Microsoft campus event or something a while back. Didn't we, JT? We bumped into each other at.
I think it was Barclays, wasn't it?
But you're right. It was Barclays. Yeah, you're
You
right.
were trying to get in with IBM, or was just Barclays? I can't remember, with something to do with blockchain.
Yeah, you're right. It was Barclays Rise. I remember now. Yeah. So sometimes we get to meet each other. Sometimes it's just a virtual world. So welcome to the party, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's
And
great.
it's always nice speaking to people from California as well, as I used to sometimes work out that way as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Although
I lived in Palo Alto for many, many years. And then during the pandemic, I thought, well, Palo Alto is nice, but I don't know why I'm here right now. And so I just moved to the coast where it's beautiful.
fair enough. Well,
I have to drive though now to go to meetings and such, but that's okay. It's okay. It's a lifestyle.
well, I used to go to Sunnyvale before it was known as Silicon Valley,
Hmm.
or part of it at least. So yeah, very
Right.
nice. Well, while we're all on then, I was going to ask JT, anything happening in the crypto world of interest apart from the sudden price pump on Bitcoin at about 11 o'clock UK time last night, which tied in with a certain event going on in the States?
Well, no, it's just the usual stuff, it's summer, so it's quiet week, really.
Yeah. And I noticed Germany, I think, has sold all of its crypto now, hasn't it?
Yeah, that was really the only thing happening. So they kind of sold all the Bitcoin they had, confiscated from criminals. So, and
Oh,
the interesting thing was that some people started to send small amounts, like $1, $2, with messages on the transaction. That was super interesting. I don't know if you read that.
I didn't know. So were they using like the UTXO, the
Yeah.
message part then? Okay.
Yeah, stay poor, all these type of things. So the German, I think, by sending small amounts, somebody put a message, oh, the German Bitcoin holdings rised 7,000% this week alone.
Okay.
It went to $138 from nothing.
Okay.
So
'Cause
it's just fun stuff people posting out there,
Yeah, because I certainly found it interesting. Just if anyone is interested in terms of like Bitcoin, has been fairly settled lately, hanging around the kind of like 57, 60K mark, this kind of region. But it was just interesting. I'm often asked, what is it that causes crypto prices to go up and down? And I keep saying it's a butterfly somewhere in the Amazon flapping its wings. But occasionally there are news items that tie in really, really nicely with a particular event. And we can see here that Bitcoin yesterday was hovering around about the $58,000 mark. And then it suddenly dropped a bit down to, I think it's 58.4, and then suddenly leapt up. It went up by about $1,500 around about just under 24 hours ago. about 20 hours ago. And it ties in almost exactly with the assassination attempt on Trump, which is interesting because he's speaking at a crypto conference in a couple of weeks, I believe. So this is one of those few occasions when you can point to something on a chart where you can see a sudden price change and say that probably was as a result of that event. So I just found that interesting to share. Might be totally coincidence. Might be no connection, but sometimes you do get these things. So an interesting thing. But yeah, Trump, I believe, is speaking at a crypto conference in, I think it's about 2 weeks or something. So he seems to be getting behind the whole crypto side of things. So it's interesting to get a presidential candidate who's showing so much interest in crypto, because usually that then hypes things up even more and gets the market excited. So we'll see what happens. As I always say, I never offer recommendations or predictions of future prices, but I think when prospective government people and that kind of thing are getting into this space, then it's an interesting future at least. So
it adds some legitimacy to it, doesn't it?
That's right. And if nothing else, it gets press coverage, so it at least gets mentioned. Now, admittedly, I appreciate that most of the US press seems to take pretty much anything Trump says and twists it and turns it and whatever. So it may not be good to have him talking about it, because they're bound to twist it of, Trump talking about money laundering using crypto or something will probably be the headline. But at least it gets coverage, and that's good. And that increases awareness, which gets people who go, oh, I wonder what that is, and they get interested. So we'll see where that goes. So I'll wait with interest the presidential elections in November, see what happens after that.
Interesting this week was, I think, I read somewhere that the new UK new economic secretary might start a crypto crackdown in UK.
Okay.
Because I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the secretary of the economic secretary to the Treasury and City Minister. I think that's the role. Yeah. That's the person responsible for the policy around digital assets, etc., etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the past, last year, there was some article somewhere. I think I can't remember where it was, but I remember last year there was an article somewhere where the news secretary, I think it's Siddiq, I think it's her name or surname.
Okay.
She's not a fan of crypto, and that's quite worrying. And not many people are talking about that,
So it's Tulip Siddiq, who's the new Treasury or the Economic Secretary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't find any details on that at the moment. So for those who don't know, there's just been an election in the UK last couple of weeks, and they've changed the government. And one of the things they always do with new governments is they appoint a load of new people, which is entirely normal. But what this government's also doing is it's changing a lot of departments at the moment. So it's restructuring, it's getting rid of some, it's changing names. So it makes it very difficult to figure out what's actually going on. So, okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that. And
But, look, I think she mentioned as well that, and again, we never know what their conversation usually is with journalists. So it could be spun in so many different ways, because I think she said as well in the past that that we should have a framework to address crypto risks,
Okay.
Which is a good thing, to be honest, as long as it leads to regulation so that everybody knows how to operate within that regulation, So,
Agreed.
but look, I think I found the tweet I'm going to send to you here.
Okay.
So you can have a look. Okay, message, chat. Here it is. Have a look at it. And
Oh, yeah, I'll share that in a moment.
yeah,
Now just
enough of gimmicks. This was like in 2023, yeah?
Mm.
Need action. I mean, how to interpret all of these, yeah?
Yeah, calling for a crackdown on the crypto Wild West.
This was in 2023, February 2023, you know?
Yep.
Enough of gimmicks, we need action. But what does she really mean with that, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
That's the thing that people are asking, you know? Whatever it is, bring it out, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so she's Economic Secretary to the Treasury and City Minister. Okay.
Yeah. So she's really responsible for anything related to digital assets regulation, etc., you know?
Okay. Definitely
A bit worrying, to be honest, but it could be quite good. Depends really what she meant by that, you know? It could be interpreted in many different ways.
I agree, and it's exactly as you say. If it leads to a framework with appropriate regulation, then that could be really good. If it goes down the route of crypto, oh, that's all for money laundering and criminal activity, let's lock it all down, then that's not good. So we'll see what comes from that. So, okay.
Yeah. And today, I think it was today, if I'm not mistaken, a Dutch court denied bail for that guy that developed Tornado Cash. Alexei,
Really?
whatever its surname, I can't remember. So
Hmm.
there was an ongoing appeal, yeah?
Okay.
And it looks like he was denied. So, and I think it's because not he was just a developer. I think it's because of the actions that the guy was having as well, you know? If the guy just creates a platform, you know, it's just technology, you know, how people use it. That's the problem, you know, otherwise. It was today, yeah, 14 hours ago.
So he's denied bail.
Yeah, denied bail, that's what I said.
Okay, yeah. But they're not denying the potential for the appeal as yet. So, okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, again, for everyone's benefit, Tornado Cash has been interesting because Tornado Cash ultimately is software, as JC describes it, but it's software that allows mixing of cryptocurrencies in such a way that it hides their origination. So for someone who wants to obfuscate where cryptos come from, then Tornado Cash allowed you to do that. And one of the really interesting things about this case is you don't normally go to prison for software, whereas I think the US government have gone after this guy, and he's in the Netherlands, saying that providing this software effectively aids and abets criminals in money laundering and that kind of thing. Which, if that succeeds, then that could, I guess, potentially affect other privacy-enabled features of other cryptocurrencies like Zcash and Monero, I guess. But yeah, it is quite worrying that people are being imprisoned for writing software that allows privacy. Admittedly, the way it's been slanted is that it's enabling money laundering and that kind of thing. But I guess it's no different in a way to some of the claims that are made against peer-to-peer crypto secured encrypted peer-to-peer. So Telegram claims to do that, and WhatsApp and that kind of thing. So interesting. We'll see where that case goes, because
Yes.
I know some people who are in the cryptographic sector as opposed to cryptocurrency, and this kind of thing is quite far-reaching, because if you're using cryptography to secure chat channels of like messages or payments or whatever, if that's something you can get prosecuted for, then that's a very dangerous game to be in. Or
If it is for money, that's what they are trying to do, okay? But they will not succeed, because otherwise cryptography ends, and if cryptography ends, so does banking, so does everything really that's done on the internet. So it's not possible to ban people. There needs to be laws that are specific for certain things, yeah? And it's very difficult to do that. So the problem here is the guy was not only create software, apparently, and this what is probably is hidden because they don't want to show how they got all that information. He was helping to actually launder money as well,
Okay.
So it is really the actions, the fact that you create secure software, it's not an offense anywhere. Yeah. It is how that software then is used. It's like you create a car, but if somebody uses the car to kill someone or ram into a group of people, then that guy is the criminal, not you that you created the car. It's the same thing. The guy just created some technology, but then it looks like he was hands-on on it as well to enable, large cleanup of money, because it was mainly money launderers using tornado cash. Let's face it. Of course, there are people, genuine users, that they want to hide, from privacy perspective, who they sending the money to, because they don't want people. Let's say I want to send you, I don't know, $200 in Bitcoin, Gary. I don't want you to know how many Bitcoins I have. It's like the same thing, my bank account. I send you 200 pounds, and you know exactly what's my balance. Yeah. So that's the problem. People want privacy on that. Yeah. And there was a lot of genuine cases for using that. The problem is when you have these genuine cases and good technology, there's going to be bad players, and that's the problem with all the mixers out there, because they're going to be used. Yeah. Absolutely 100% they're going to be used by bad players.
And I guess the other thing as well, you were saying about the governments and putting in place legislation around this kind of thing. So something they've attempted in the UK, and I was just trying to find which act they've tried to put it in. I think it ties in with some powers they're putting in with National Crime Agency, is that they've included a requirement for a decryption ability once that becomes available. So this is where a little while ago, I think the likes of WhatsApp and Telegram and a few others were saying, if you impose upon us this requirement to have like a backdoor access for governments to get into secure messaging and that kind of thing, we will exit the market in the UK. So I think in the UK, they've recently put in place some legislation that kind of hints that that's what they'd like, but I've said something like something along the lines of when the technology is available or something. So they've not imposed an obligation on it.
Well, of course, if you create a cryptography that doesn't have any backdoors, for example, the proper cryptography, then what's the backdoor there? If you encrypt something, only the guy who has the key can decrypt it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. This is typical case of politicians messing around with something they do not understand. Yeah. Yep. And there was plenty of people, including, actually, I was surprised that WhatsApp, came out and said all of that, because look, it's no secret that all agencies in the world with capability can access any WhatsApp messages, Yep. So it's all a show.
Yep.
You know what I mean? WhatsApp, Telegram, all of these messages can be accessed by any intelligence agency. They have all the capability to do that. So, all of these things are fun and games, and I don't want to talk much online about these type of things, as you know, but it is all smoke screens, basically,
My experience is whenever they apply for legislation, it means they've already got the capability.
Absolutely. It's already they've been doing, and they want now to sort of not operate outside of the law.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all it is,
But as you say, we'll move on from that.
Yeah.
I'm conscious as well that we're getting close to 8 o'clock, and I would imagine that people are going to be keen to go and watch the football shortly. Does
There's
anyone?
something else I would like to mention,
I was going to ask. Go on.
Yeah. So what was it? Yeah, here it is. Genesis. The wallet link. There's a wallet link to Genesis. Yeah.
Mm.
Genesis transfers. Yeah. I think it was 33,000 bitcoins. Everybody talking about the German wallets that were selling Bitcoin, but this wallet will transfer 33,000 and something Bitcoins to Coinbase, apparently, so there's other people selling as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find. Oh, yeah, I found it. Hold on, so you can read about it. Yeah, that's the one.
I've just picked up on some on. Oh, you've got it on Crypto News. Okay.
Yeah, 12,600 transferred. So $719 million.
There we go. I'll just share so people
yeah.
can see that. Okay, so wallet linked to Genesis. $720 million isn't that much, though, is it, these days?
Yeah, they have about 2.28 billion, according to the article. So there's people trying. I mean, there's a lot of sales going on in the market, which is a bit worrying,
Yeah.
Of course, there's buyers at lower. If Bitcoin goes to below 50, there'll be a lot of people buying as well.
Yeah. That'll be interesting, because it does seem to have settled down again, doesn't it? As I was saying before, about it's hovering around about 60,000 mark now. But yeah, okay. So
that the SEC, this was a while back. The SEC a while back, last week. Crypto reporting rules for banks and brokerages. Yeah. The SEC has kind of relaxed a bit about that. So they're absolutely crazy about retail and everyone else that operates in the market. But for banks and brokerages, they're quite relaxed about that.
I thought there was something coming into place, whether it was accounting standards or something, about some sort of standard way of reporting crypto asset holdings for companies. I thought I saw something coming through on that. Maybe it was in Europe, maybe.
I don't know, but that's the only other thing that I remember this week, that was quite interesting.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people are going to pick up on them, on that, because they're like a bit biased. In one side, they do X, Y, and Z against, I don't know, exchanges or whatever. Yeah, and projects that are creating tokens. On the other side, they are very, very relaxed to traditional players, and that can get them into trouble in any court, any action in court that people have against them. They will just show, prejudice, very simple.
Okay.
It could be super, super interesting. Yeah, I remember that.
SEC. I mean, this was a few days ago. This is where they're saying about exactly as you say.
Bank brokerage firms might bypass balance sheet reporting. What? How can they do that and allow everyone else to do it? It's unfair. Do you understand what I mean? And any future actions in court, I think people can just point out at this, and say, hey, how is this fair? And a judge will not like to see that. I mean, do you understand what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, it certainly shows unfairness for the consumer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, another one.
Super interesting. I mean, that surprised me a lot, Gary, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see where that one goes. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing those things, JT. Interesting stuff. So the regulators in the States getting a little bit more relaxed about reporting, as long as you're a bank or a big firm or something. That's kind of curious.
Well said. I couldn't have said it better.
It is bizarre. So, oh well, cool. Right, folks, if there's nothing else, then I'll thank everyone who's joined us today. Linda, nice to see you joining us. Elena, thanks as always for coming along. JT, thanks for showing stuff. Do all come back again. Hope to see you next week. And I'm guessing there's going to be lots of shouting in the UK now as there's that big football match on. So
Yeah, about to start. Bye.
Exactly
Bye,
right.
guys.
So have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
Goodbye.
Cheers.